Hello and welcome to this Diaphanie introduction video. I'm Paul Morin, I'm a cinematographer and one of the creators behind Diaphanie, a plugin that is distributed by HAL Picture. Today I'm going to walk you through the plugin in a series of videos that aim at showing you how to use it and what it's made for. Diaphanie is our plugin for DaVinci Resolve and Baselight, aimed at addressing the texture aspect of the look development. If you're interested in the color aspect of look development, we have a companion plugin that's called Diaphanie, and we present it as well on our YouTube channel and on our website. For now, we're going to look at the interface of Diaphanie. Once you've installed the Diaphanie, you can find it in the HAL section of the plugin library. If you've not already done it, you need to enable it by going to the licensing section down there, click Bind License, and just paste your license key. If you don't have a license, you can still try the plugin. You'll just get a watermark. So, the core of the plugin consists of these four modules. You get a Spacial Equalizer, a halation, a diffusion, and a grain module. You can get information about your license here, and you can also unbind your license. Just disconnect that specific station and free up a seat on your license key. You can only do that from the station that is connected, so keep that in mind if you want to do some license management. Let's have a look at global settings first to make sure that our plugin is properly configured. The first group of settings in global settings is called color management. Even if it's a texture plugin, Diaphanie still plays with the color along the way, so you need to make sure it's color managed properly. By default, Diaphanie, and it's the same for Diachrony, operates in an AC-CCT environment. So if you're working in an AC-CCT color managed workflow that you can set up either in the project here, or in the timeline, or with a custom node management, then you don't need to check the internal color management here. If you're doing something different, I invite you to check out the first video of Diachrony where I explain the color management in depth. It's the same concept. The second group of settings is called resolution factor. Diaphanie works on the texture, so of course the resolution of the timeline has an impact on the intensity of some of the transformations of the plugin. So it's a good practice to set up the resolution here to match the timeline resolution. So if, for instance, you're grading in a UHD or 4K, just select UHD/4K resolution. If at some point you need to reuse the same texture, but in a timeline of a different resolution, then you need to change the resolution factor to match the new timeline resolution. By doing so, you will ensure that you have an identical mathematical rendering of your texture between these two timelines of different resolution. On the other hand, if you're working on a given timeline and you're downscaling at the render step, you don't have to change the resolution factor because it's the rendering algorithm that will take care of that. So that's just for when you have a timeline of a different resolution in your project for any number of reasons. Since we're working on texture, if you have any kind of blanking on your image that is applied before the plugin operates, the effects of the plugin might interact with the blanking in an uncontrolled and indesired way. If you have this kind of blanking, for instance, then some of the effects, maybe the diffusion or the halation, might play along with the blanking, which is not something you want. So you need, in that case, to enable the region of interest to mask out the blanking from the zone where the plugin will operate. And you can check the show image borders to actually verify that you're covering exactly your blanking. That puts all the excluded zone in red. You have some predefined output ratios, but if you want more accuracy, you can also use the custom slider and just set it up very accurately. So once you've set up these three groups of settings, you're ready to start your look development in Diaphanie. Before doing that, let's just look at the look presets. The look presets feature in Diaphanie is the same as in Diachrony, so if you're familiar with Diachrony and its presets feature, you can just skip this part. A look preset is an XML file that will store all the values of the plugin for a given look. You can create a preset at any time by exporting it here with this button. It will just save all the values that are enabled in the modules here and output it in an XML file wherever you want on your disk. You can add a preset to the user library that will be displayed here. You just need to open the user preset folder, copy a preset in there, and just hit refresh user presets. Your preset will then appear in the look preset list. Diaphanie is shipped with built-in presets that we provide, and you can find them in the same list and with the prefix HAL here. Feel free to use them, to customize them, they're here for that purpose. When you load a preset from this section, it overrides automatically the values of every module. But you can also go inside a module and load the preset from within the module. This way, you don't override any value but the ones from your current module. So you can, for instance, decide to load the grain here for 35mm. That will show up here. There is some memory of what you loaded here, so it's helpful to know which preset you've loaded the last time in each module. And if you modify a value, and so you're not exactly the preset anymore, then there's a little asterisk that shows up here. This gives you a bit of extra modularity, as you can decide, for instance, to load the grain preset from the 35mm, but load the halation preset from the 16mm. You can mix the presets, maybe create your own, customize them. It's a very modular way of working. Right, so we've covered everything but the transformations in Diaphanie. That was the point of this first video. In the next few videos, we'll cover the Spatial Equalizer module, the halation and diffusion module, and the grain module. Thank you for watching.